go down that way and take off to the north. So we're up here. He's going to tell us go like Echo Foxtrot to hotel probably and take off on runway 35 left, going to the north. That's my guess.
79 Romeo, runway 35 left at hotel, taxi to Pop Echo Foxtrot. The test on the triangles going Echo November to the postal.
Okay, Pop Echo Foxtrot, hotel 35 left, 4% Romeo. Once we get up here, I'm going to have you put your feet on the pedals, and remember the brakes, and you try to put that stripe right down in between us, if you can imagine that. So go ahead and put your feet up, and get a feel for turning left and right. Give it more right foot, right foot. There you go, and correct us back to that center line there, more right. And we're going to turn to the right, go down this way. So try to make this turn here. Jam your foot to the right. There you go. Good. Do you drive a car yet?
Let you go. You plan on going northeast, correct?
So it's a little bit different than driving a car, huh?
Yeah. 79 Romeo, contact tower 118.4 when you're ready.
479 Romeo, we'll go. It's a left to right crosswind. The crosswind's blowing this way, so when I take off, you're going to see the wheel or the yoke turn to the left to help us not get a wing blown over like this.
79 Romeo on course 435 left at hotel, clear for takeoff.
35 left at hotel, clear for takeoff, 479 Romeo on course. All right, so we are taking off at 14:05.
Tower 1A, Yankee, clear runway.
And that crosswind control set to the left, and throttle's coming up.
The ground 12118, 1A Yankee.
We are airborne. I'm going to let you have the controls, and when I do, see how I fly? I'm not having to do a whole lot. Kind of like when you get used to driving a car, you don't have to do a lot unless you really need to turn sharp or something. So it's trimmed out pretty well, so it should hold altitude okay without you having to do this. So basically you're just kind of getting the feel for the controls. So go ahead and take the controls, and now I'm not touching them and you're flying. How does it feel?
Feels fun, kind of.
Have you ever driven a boat before?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a little bit like driving a boat. We're going to pretend like you took off and you're a little too eager to climb, so I want you to go ahead and pull back enough to where it feels like your feet are on the horizon. And we're going to watch that speed bleed off. It's going to be a stall. We're doing that on purpose, just so you can see what it's like. It's not a big deal. So get those feet up on the horizon. Pull back. There you go. Nice. I'm going to help with a little less throttle here. Okay, it's going to start to waver a little bit. Okay, now just ease forward. And we got flying speed again. And now pull back so that we level off. That was basically a power on stall, meaning our power's in, we got a little too excited to climb, and we let it get away from us. But the plane wants to fly. You see it didn't like go out of control or anything. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to slow us down, and we're going to do some slow flight. So I'm going to bring on some carburetor heat once I throttle back. Maintain this altitude. I'm going to trim, because as we slow down, you'll need more trim to hold it level. So we're just going to fly at a slower speed, and as we drop down to a lower speed, I'm going to extend the flaps. You're going to feel what it's like. It's going to be a little more sluggish. We're going to fly around. We're just above stall speed, but you're trying to maintain level flight. This is slow flight, so that you know what it feels like when you're coming in for a landing. The controls are going to feel a little more sluggish. It's going to take more effort to get the plane to turn left or right. You feel that difference? Yeah, because less airflow over the wings, the controls are less effective. What we're going to do is called a power off stall, because I'm bringing the power off or back. We're pretending like we're on an approach, and you're like, man, the airport's a little bit too far out. I'm going to pull back. You're trying to stretch out that glide, and what's happening is our speed's dropping off, and we're doing this on purpose. You don't want to do this close to the ground and mistakenly find yourself in a stall situation. But keep pulling back, like we're trying to just stretch out to make the end of the runway there, and the plane's going to eventually hear it kind of squeal. Now lower the nose slightly, and I'm going to bring the throttle back in. I'm going to kick us some rudder, and the plane's flying again. We want to keep the nose down a little bit to pick up some speed. And that was it. Now, if you weren't expecting that and you were low to the ground, I'm bringing up some flaps too. That'll help speed us up. But if we were low to the ground and you weren't expecting a stall, lot of trouble. Livingston traffic, Cessna 4479 Romeo, overhead the field, entering left downwind, runway 12, touch and go, Livingston. Okay, and I'm clear left, coming left. And we are entering a downwind on the, we just flew underneath the bald eagle. I just saw it go by. That was awesome. But anyway, we're on a downwind to the runway now. We are going to have a slight tailwind. But I am starting my deceleration so I can get down slow enough to lower the flaps. Got my carburetor heat on just so we don't get any icing weirdness in the carburetor. You'd be surprised. And it can actually happen at fairly warm temperatures because of the way the pressure drops. Got myself some flaps in. And I'm going to start my turn to the base leg here. Livingston traffic, Cessna 4479 Romeo, left to base, runway 12, touch and go, Livingston. Oh, a little hard. I flared a little too high. I got the stall warning a little too high. We'll get it better on the next one. So, flaps are up, throttle's up, airspeed's good, we're back airborne again. And you're probably 2 inches shorter now. Next stop, Buc-ee's.
You sure will.
So you take the controls and fly us down the interstate. You can pretty much read the sign from here. Madisonville traffic, Cessna 4479 Romeo is left downwind runway 36, touch and go, Madisonville. Okay, I've set up on my left downwind. I got the runway out here, parallel. We're at pattern altitude. And once that approach into the runway is about 45 degrees behind us, is when I can start my turn to base. Madisonville traffic, Cessna 4479 Romeo, left base, runway 36, touch and go, Madisonville. Madisonville traffic, Cessna 4479 Romeo, left base, turning final, runway 36, touch and go, Madisonville. Now I'm giving a slip, because we're a little high. Get my full flaps in. Let the crosswind. That was better. Flaps are coming up, car feed's in, throttle's coming up. Flaps are up. That was smoother than the last one.
Yeah.
We're going to climb up high again to do these steep turns on the way back. Madisonville traffic, Cessna 4479 Romeo is left downwind, continuing climb, departing the pattern to the south, so long Madisonville. Right, go ahead and level us off at 5,500. I want to clear to make sure that there's no other planes out here when we do these steep turns, because we're going to be doing this tight turn and we don't want anybody else in our way. So I'm just going to look to the left. I turn about 90 degrees so I can see behind us, in front of us, to the side and everything. And then I'm going to turn another 90 degrees back to the right.
Yeah, we're going to do the
just make sure that nobody's in our way. And I'm using 30 degrees of bank right now for these clearing turns. If you look on this instrument here, these little ticks, 10, 20, 30. This one is 60 degrees. The next tick mark over.
Then you got ADS-B on you.
So I'm just going to go ahead and rack it up to 60, and you're going to feel that pull. And I'm still watching for traffic, but we're pulling about 2 Gs. And then we roll out back where we started.
Yeah, do you have it on you? I do.
I'm try not to gain so much altitude. You can do one to the right or to the left, your choice. So go ahead and take the controls. And I'll help you if I need to, but just remember, as you increase that bank, you're going to have to pull to keep us level. So go ahead. Here, we're going to the left. Give a little more juice. I'll give you a little trim. You don't need any rudder. But pull. There we go. This is looking pretty good. Keep the bank in. A little more to the left. And we'll get back around. Okay. Good. Now level off.
Straight back home. Yeah, I'm on the stop at Madisonville.
Not bad.
Fuel.
How was that? Pretty cool? Yeah. But anyway, we're descending at about 65 miles an hour. A little less than 500 feet per minute. If I want to descend quicker, you can just dive. Don't do it. You can push the nose over. You're going to descend quicker, but your speed's going to increase. And if you're trying to land, you don't want your speed to increase because then you're just going to float all the way down the runway before you touch down. You might not have that long of a runway. So instead, you can slip like I did at the last airport. And cock the nose over to the side, and now it's like a barn door in the slipstream. More drag, but it's not letting my speed pick up. But you'll see this increase quite a bit. So your choice of which way you do it. I'll explain what you're going to do. Kick the rudder over all the way and hold it in one direction. It's going to cock the nose over, and you give it opposite aileron to keep the wings level. So whichever way you go, you're going to do opposite aileron. So don't pull back, but just jam that rudder in all the way over and hold it. You're going to hold the wings level with the aileron. So keep that rudder jammed in. And so our speed isn't picking up, but our rate of descent is, which is what we want to have happen. Hook Tower, Cessna 4479 Romeo is VFR 15 miles to the north, 1,400, inbound with India, full stop.
4479 Romeo, Hook Tower, Roger, squawk 5337.
5337, 4479 Romeo. Okay, I'm going to take the controls. He told us to put in, he said squawk 5337, so that identifies us on his radar so he can see us. And so he knows where we're at in relation to the other planes, and he can fit us in the order that he wants. And you can see how I'm flying, like one finger basically, unless I need to do something. I didn't start out that way though. It's like when you drive a car for the first time, you're barely looking over the steering wheel and gripping it real tight.
Number 79 Romeo, number 2 following departure, midfield right base, or midfield right down, 1117 right, clear to land.
Clear to land, number 2, search for the traffic, 4479 Romeo. I'm slowing down so I can get my flaps out.
Running 270 at 4.
We have it cleared to land. We are number 2 following that guy. You see him over the edge of the runway. I'm trying to keep my speed up on purpose to not hurt the people behind me for getting a nice landing approach. Vulture, vulture.
Motor 8892 Juliet, I'll just one more, rolling 17 left, clear for the option, one more time, and I can give you a short approach on the big runway after that.
That sounds good. We'll take 17 left for the option. 8892 Juliet.
Hey, I think I can make this taxiway
Here,
here.
one check. Wind calm.
479 Romeo is exiting at Delta.
479 Romeo, Roger, exit Delta, contact ground 121.8.
Switching ground, so long, 479 Romeo. Alright, number tail ground, we're taxiing back to Texas flight. Ground system 4479 Romeo is taxiing back to Park, Texas flight.
System 4479 Romeo, host ground, taxi to Park via Delta Echo Juliet.
Delta Echo Juliet to Park, 4479 Romeo. Alright, how do you feel?
That was fun.
Good. Once I turn off the avionics, you won't be able to hear anything on the headset, but I'll still talk through what I'm doing to shut down the engine and everything and get it all cleaned up for the next renter. And I'm going to kick it around to the left, and we're going to have to push it back once we shut down. So it'll take a little bit of muscle, but... Alright, avionics mattress coming off. So
You don't need your headset on anymore. Lights all off. Mixture is coming out. We just starboard of fuel. Once we do that, the magnetos are coming off. The master switch is coming off. And I'll get the other info. And we just committed General Aviation. Good times.